yours, find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, Amanda, Murray, and we have Grant. Grant is still having problems. Hopefully, he's going to manage to join us. Over to you, Amanda. Introduce yourself to our audience, please.
My name's Amanda Cottrell. I am a teacher and author and an illustrator, and I'm the founder of Art, Mindfulness, and Creativity. And my mission statement is to build a global community of empowered creators who embrace their passions and natural curiosities to make the world a better place, one day at a time. So I'm excited to be here, and hopefully Grant gets on with his technology issue. Thumbs up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amanda. So, our topic today is how do you share your talent with the world? Every human being is unique and every human being is talented in their own way as individually. We all have got talent, some talent somehow. Some people struggle with the abilities to express their and show their talent to the world. Due to personal problems but some people don't have problems to share their talent. So we're going to be cover all those things, how you can share your gift, your personal gift, and your creativity with the world, because you don't want to die and go to the grave and being confronted by so many ghosts, the ghost of promotion, the ghost of creativity, the ghost of a voice, finding your own voice, the ghost of starting your own business, maybe business coach. The list goes on. So you don't really want to, when you die and God says, maybe you could be somebody, you could be holding a healing ideas about healing. There's cancer, there's so many disease, but I'm sure there's someone out there who is very creative, who is very, very talented, who could say, oh, I can help with this. But people are not, because they are really, really scared. So, Amanda, what do you think about this topic?
Well, I love this topic because this is one of my passions is creativity because like you said, everyone is creative and I believe that we all are infinitely creative in our own unique ways. And so often we go to school and if you can't draw or you can't paint or you don't like to draw or paint, then you just label yourself as I'm not creative when essentially that's not the case at all. You can be creative in woodworking, you could be creative in building and designing, you could be creative in coding, you could be creative in even metalwork and welding. And there's so many different ways that you can be creative. Is all you have to really do is think outside the box and do the things that you love and follow your passions. And so and essentially so many of us are scared to actually go out and do those things because we're like, oh, I was told that I need to go and get a job so that I can provide for my family and do all of these things. And then there's like this piece of you that's missing because you're like not following your passions. And essentially I think that you can sometimes do both, where you have a job that pays the bills, but then you also have your passions on the side. And that's one of the things that I do, is that I am a teacher, but then I also, and teaching is one of my passions, but I also have started my own business on the side so that I can do my passion work, because I think that's the stuff that fills me up and that drives me. And I just love helping people find their creative gifts and heal from different traumas. And so I think there's so many, and people's creativity could be in helping people and helping people heal and in helping people find that their right partner for them, like you do, Nomza. Like there's so many ways that you can be creative. Um, but we really need to step into that power. And one of the things that I was told when I very first started, like, you've always been creative and painted and stuff, but so much of that was suppressed for many years, from like probably about the end of high school until after I had my daughter, because I just didn't have time to paint or time to draw. And it wasn't something that I really spent time focusing on. And I got into a really toxic marriage, and my life just kind of imploded on itself. And essentially what got me out of it and what's helped me heal on my healing journey is getting back to my creative gifts and getting back to my creativity. And also that has given me some self-confidence as well, because before, when I was married, I was so insecure that I couldn't even call the pizza delivery to like order pizza, because I would get so anxious about it because I had so much trauma. And so essentially, like, painting and drawing has really like empowered my life again, and I've got back to those creative gifts after dealing with a bunch of trauma. And so I just think this is such a great topic, because so often people are afraid to step into their creative power, or they're like, I'm not creative. And when essentially they truly are, just in a different way than people think traditionally. What do you think, Grant? We can't hear him again. We can't hear you. Can you hear you, Kim Nomza? Okay. Nomza, I can't hear you either.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Grant, you're on now. Can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever
I
you did
didn't I didn't touch anything. I didn't touch anything. Okay, that's strange. But okay, yeah, absolutely. People should be in their power. They should work in their power. People always should. What I do as a speaker, coach, trainer, hypnotherapist, and best-selling author, it's always about helping people work in their power. Because yes, there's certain things I think it is good in life sometimes to do things you don't particularly like. That is healthy to do that. To do it despite that, that's good. But you shouldn't spend most of your life in that space. But your creative work should be doing something you love, for reasons none other than life is just better when you do that. But you give your best work when you do that. And you don't always feel like you're working. Now, Ronnie Wood of the Rolling Stones, they asked him, how long have you been working? He said, what do you mean? He said, I've never done a day's work in my life. He said, I never had a proper job. He said, I played music all my life and that's what I love. He said, I've been absolutely blessed. But of course, who allowed him to do that? Himself. He gave himself permission to do that and to work in his power. And you absolutely should, because your best work comes from it. You're more gracious to other people. And if you're going to leave a legacy, key word for me, if you're going to leave a legacy in your wake, if you leave a legacy, you're much more likely to leave one that really sticks if you're doing something and you're working in your power, following what you love. And as you said, Amanda, sometimes you've got to make that. It's harder first of all, but if you can try to make that into your job, your job, because after all, you're going to work hard at something in life. But it's either going to be something you don't like doing or something you do like doing. Either way, you're going to work pretty hard at it. So you may as well do it on something that you absolutely love, because it makes a bigger impact on the world. If that means anything to you, it certainly means something to me. And that's what I wanted to say. Nomsa, what do you think about all this? What's your take on it?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Grant. Yeah, you're on. I was muted, Amanda. That's why you couldn't hear me. So I like it, Amanda, when you say follow your passion, and you were saying some people, they get told that to go and get a job because they need to provide for their family before they can do whatever the things that they want. And also some people, they get told that they are not good enough doing things because somebody else, when someone is judging you, you have to understand what gives that person the power to say you are not good enough for doing the things that you want to do, or for doing the things, for basically working on your talent and showing the world your talent. Because when you show the world your talent, you can't start by just being good at everything. Your talent has to grow. You have to grow each and every day. When we started, I look back when we started Ngozi talk shows a year ago, we were just learning because we've never done this before. So to us, it was something that we were learning each and every day. And there are some people that basically have joined us, and some people have started with Ngozi Talk Shows, you can see the big difference how we have improved with our videos and stuff. So if anyone comes to you and tell you that you're not good enough, you don't have to listen to them, because they cannot affirm what you can, what you're good at, what you're not good at. They cannot affirm. Everything is all about what you can tolerate in life. If you can tolerate practicing and working hard to what you love, what you believe to be true about yourself, and practice and practice and practice, you can get to where you need to go. You can empower the world. You can share your talent. And don't worry about what people judging you and stuff. And Grant, you spoke about, you mentioned the Rolling Stone, that he said he's never done his day work in his life. Some people basically, they recognize their talent. They find people that can help them, and they're not afraid. And it's not that they don't fear. Fear is always going to be there. It's just if you are willing to work hard, like if you are a musician, if you are a coach or anything, it requires you to put hours and hours of practicing. And when you practice whatever you want to do, you grow each and every day. And you can't just be good and get up tomorrow and say, okay, I'm gonna be good at I'm good at this. It doesn't work like that. Even Bill Gates, when he started his software company, whatever they did, Microsoft, I'm sure there were things that they had to work out. They had to bring some people in, and some people had to let them down. They had to find those good people that carried them and helped them to become where he is now as a billionaire. So we don't know the story, but if you were to meet him, and if he was honest and tell you the story, you'll be like, okay, this is scary. So every success, there is a story behind it. So if you have a talent, please feel free to share it with the world. Over to you, Amanda.
I think often we forget about where places or where people started. Like Microsoft started in a garage, so did Apple, right? Like there's and probably the Rolling Stones started in a garage or somebody's basement too. I don't actually know the answer to that one, but I assume so, because that's where most bands do start, and you don't see all of the progress that they've done for years and years and years of practice and and essentially, like even musicians, it's when they say like, oh, they're an overnight success, it's like, no, they've been practicing this since they were 5 years old. It's just they've become successful because they're getting noticed very quickly but essentially they spent years and years and years practicing their talent in their basement, probably. And their parents have had to listen to it, right, for years. And like even my daughter, she plays the piano, and she's been playing since she was 5 years old, and now she's 11, and now she's quite good. But like, you have to know that where she came from, right? And essentially, I know there's kids who practice a lot more and are much better too, but you only get better at something if you practice it. And I've been really trying to talk to my daughter about that too. Essentially, is like, if you want to get better at something, then you need to surround yourself with people who are already doing that and who are better at it than you, because that's how you're going to grow. So the only way for the Rolling Stones to become popular and to do better is by sharing their gifts with the world. If they just hid in the basement the whole time, they would never have become the sensation that they are, because they didn't share their gift with the world, right? And so essentially, it's not only that practice and that persistence, but it's also the, like, you have to be brave enough to share your gift with the world. And that's something that I know I've been trying to work on too, because it's sometimes a little bit scary to be like, okay, I'm gonna do talk shows, and I'm gonna talk on Instagram, and I'm gonna start a TikTok and all of those things. It's a little bit scary to go out and do something that you've never tried before, but I think it's also really important to share your gifts with the world. So if you're an artist and you only ever paint for your house. Like that's essentially what I did. You can see some of my art in the background, but until I started sharing it with the world, nobody would ever see it other than me in my house, or people that came over to my house, and people comment on my art in my house all the time. But unless I get out and share it with the world, it'll never really be noticed. And I think that's something that people need to do as well, and need to step past that fear barrier to get out and share their gifts with the world. Nomsa?
Grant.
Oh, sorry, it's Grant's turn.
Yep,
Yeah.
I love what you said there, and it occurred to me, overnight success. And as someone once said, it is. They said they were an overnight success. Absolutely. So all the theories are true. You can be an overnight success. It just might take 25 years to become an overnight success. And that's the thing. And I've always said this: when you see people, let's say on the television, etc., you only see them once they're famous. You only see them once they're successful. You don't see the struggle. You don't see the times when people laughed at them or ridiculed at them, the times when things didn't work out, the times when it all went wrong and you had to pick yourself up again and again. And this is the key point. When you're working in your passion, when you're online and living life on purpose, when you're doing that, when the days get tough, when the going gets tough, when the people laugh, when it knocks you down, when things just don't work, you're much more likely to carry on doing something if you have a purpose, a vision and a mission behind it, rather than it just being just a kind of a job. It's a whole different dynamic. I know, because I've done it. I've done both, and I know what is the strongest, and that's where you want to come from, and life is more enjoyable. When you do something like you mean it, the world pays attention. And that's the best thing that I can say to people about it. The world will pay attention. And you know what? It shows up. As a body language expert as I am, you see people when they're actually congruent, when they mean what they're doing, and they show up and they're walking the walk, and they're not just talking the talk. It makes a big difference. You can see it, you can hear in the tone of voice, the way they project themselves, the way they hold themselves, and just the way they go about doing everything. 90% of success, here's a spoiler, isn't about the things you learn. It's about the person you are. Because that speaks, it comes through your pores, and it speaks volumes. And people know that you are doing it for the right reasons and you mean it. When you see that, you can become quite an unstoppable force. The problem is that most people in life posture and they pose and they pretend to be something. That's why I wrote in my book, not about faking it. Do not fake it. That's really hard work. Shape it while you make it. Shape it along the way. Build the aeroplane in the air, as they say. Do that. But don't fake it. Just be real. Be wherever you are right now, but do it with guts, do it with passion, do it with love. And that overcomes many, many inadequacies in what you're doing. So if you haven't got it all right, if you haven't got things absolutely perfect, guess what? Join the queue. None of us have. Right? just get in the queue and do your thing. Fly your flag. Do it the way you do, and people will read that. And guess what? The more you're doing that means the more you're practicing it, the more you're implementing it every day. So those imperfections will soon start eroding away and start to be left with a shiny, great finished product. Because the more you do it, if you're doing something you love, it means you're going to be inspired to do it more. The more you do it, the better you get. It's very simple. And, as I think the Chinese said about the best time to have built the Chinese wall would have been a couple of 100 years ago. Okay. The second best time is now. So don't worry that you didn't do that thing last year. Don't worry you didn't do it 5 years ago. It doesn't matter. No one cares. No one knew you before then. So no one says, oh, you should have done it before. It doesn't matter. Remember, people remember you when you actually make it. So really, just do it now. If you want to do that thing, just make a plan to get it started and go and do it. There's never been a better time than now. And do it like you absolutely mean it. You know the expression when people say, dance like no one's looking? That kind of dancing, If you lived your life and went over your business, your dream, your career, your life, your relationships, if you lived it like that, your life would be transformed. And that's the essence of it. But I can tell you this all day long. You won't do it. Because what gets in the way is this. Okay. This is why we don't get wealthy from reading a book. Yeah, you can get some good little nuggets, but it doesn't work from that. You've got to have someone holding you accountable. You really need to have a coach, a mentor who really has got your back and can see you. This is true because coaches have coaches. If it wasn't true, they wouldn't bother. And they do it because it's the fastest way to success. So do that, and find something you love doing and get coached in doing it. And it makes the journey nice, it makes it quick, and a lot more successful, a lot quicker. And you can help. And the thing about that is, not only does it help you, it's egoless because it allows you to help more people. And that's the point I wanted to make. What do you think, Amanda? Any thoughts around that?
Well, I really like what you said about just start, because essentially that's what a friend of mine who had already had a successful business told me when I was like, I have all these ideas and I don't know what to do. And this was probably, oh my goodness, like 7 years ago. And she's like, just start. And you'll, even if you're like me, where you have like a ton of ideas and don't know where to start, if you just start something, it'll just take you along the right path as you go. And essentially there may be like stumbling points, and then you just adjust your course and keep going. And essentially that, I think that's just the way that it goes. You can't fail. You learn much more in failure than you do in success. And it's like you fail forward is something that we talk about with the students. In my classroom, I talk about failing forward, and that you learn so much more when something doesn't come easy and you don't get it right the first time, that you actually have to collaborate with others and then try again and then collaborate and then try again. And they just feel so much more success when they've had that experience. And it also builds resiliency. And I think sometimes many people don't have that resiliency built up to try something and then fail and then try it again and then fail and then try it again and fail and try, like they don't have that resiliency. And then they see someone who became super successful and they're like, oh, it just worked for them. And it's like, no, you didn't see all of the failures that they came across the entire way along. Like even with your iPhone, they are constantly updating it because there's something new or something that they messed up on. And it's like, oh, we have a bug that we need to fix. Oh, we have this. So they didn't put it out to the world completely perfect. They're always adjusting it and making it better. And if you think back to the very first iPhone that you had, if you were an Apple person like me, then you compare it to the phone that you have now, there's huge advances, and they made it as perfect as they could at that time, but then they fix things along the way and they learn more along the way, and then they make out a second version, and then they make out, I think they're at like the iPhone like 13 or 14 now. I don't even know. But essentially, if you look at it like that, and I don't know, do you guys have Starbucks in the UK? Do you have a Starbucks there? Yeah, like he essentially, I think there was like, I can't even remember how many times he was shot down by the banks, told, no, we won't give you a loan. And I think it was almost like 100 times or something when I read about him. I can't remember exactly because I read about him quite a while ago. But essentially, he just kept trying again and trying again and trying until finally somebody believed in him enough that they gave him the loan to start the business. And now you all know Starbucks has gone basically global. And essentially, like if he had stopped at the first failure or the first no, we wouldn't have that, right? And I wouldn't have my chai lattes that I love to drink. What do you think, Nomza?
I actually agree with you, Amanda, that, so it only takes one person to believe in you. Just because somebody says no, it doesn't mean that they're right, because sometimes you may find that people are having a bad day, and when someone is serving you and they are having a bad day, you're gonna have a bad day. You're gonna get to know. If they are having a good day, then you're gonna have a good day. So sometimes it's just, you just have to keep going. You have to keep going. I read this story. I listened to this pastor. He was saying this woman, her husband moved to Europe, in Africa, from Africa, and she wanted to join her husband, and she kept applying for a visa. She kept getting no, 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 and then she went. She was about to give up. She went, and then this woman, she was asking her loads and loads of questions just before she said no, and she went to the toilet. And then this man who walks in that works there, he goes, "Oh, so you're looking, why are you, have you been seen?" And she was like, "Yes, but I need to apply for a visa. She's gone. I don't know where she's gone." And he was like, "Come here, I'll help you." So he basically helped her to get a visa, and that was how she got a visa. And that woman comes back 10 minutes later. She was in the toilet for a long time. She comes back, and the woman was been taken by somebody else, and that her no didn't succeed. That person helped her. So I agree with you, like Grant is saying, dance like nobody is watching. I think that is a good advice for you to do things and dance like nobody, not caring about what people think, because at the end of the day, if you are building your talent and then you have people criticizing you, you're never gonna know the results. And then when they criticize you, you stop. You're never gonna know the results of whatever project you want to do or your talent. You just have to keep going. For me, basically, me and my family, they know that we have a relationship where they can tell me that I can't do this, or they can support me and just do things. But I have my own thing that I find my own people that, like coaches and stuff, that they help me. When I tell my family about something, it means I've grieved. It means the fear, I've worked on my fear. It means I've worked on all these insecurities. I'm in a point where I'm ready to go. So by the time they get scared, because your family, they are your family, they protect you, they don't want you to get hurt. So they are gonna get scared. So, and also, Amanda and Grant, you spoke about overnight success, that there's no such thing as the overnight success. These people have worked behind the scenes. I seen people on the X Factor before, and when I went to take music school, I saw the pictures, the people that were won the X Factor before, because the tech music, they've got all these vocal tech, they've got all these pictures, memory lane, people who have been there. And these people have performed in the pubs, they've performed in so many places, like silly places, like going to the pub and going to like a restaurant on the street. But when they get to the X Factor, they've practiced and practiced and they win. So that's when I got it. I was like, oh, that's where they began. So I got the idea. Even myself, I've performed in London in the pubs, I've performed in a restaurant, I've not performed on the street, but I performed it because I love it. And it's fun. It's something that I love. So I've done it. If somebody sees me here and think that, oh, okay, goes to talk shows, I've done all these, like the things that people wouldn't think of, because I know that I want to succeed. And even with Ngozi talk shows, I didn't know that I could actually broadcast, but I just went, let's just do it, and it just go on with it. Hi, Stuart. How are you? I randomly logged on, don't know why, but the message about Starbucks was amazing. For me, I lost everything, all my property, my business, and have been providing service to property developers. I can't get a loan or credit, but maybe if I inquire enough, someone might lend me the money for a first property investment. Don't give up. Don't give up for when it comes to property investment. You don't give up. There's a guy on WhatsApp. I don't know if you're on LinkedIn, message me private on LinkedIn. There's a guy that deals with the property as well. So I don't know their system, how they work. He's messaged me on WhatsApp. He's on our WhatsApp group. So message me. I'll give you his number. You can get in touch with him. Don't give up. Amanda Stewart says your message regarding Starbucks.
Yeah.
It's Starbucks.
I heard you. I just had to get a Kleenex because of my allergies.
Yeah, so don't give up.
Allergy season in Calgary. I don't know.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah, don't give up. Don't give
Yeah.
up.
I think even to think outside of the box, like if you have something that you really want to do, is like one of the things I've been wanting to do is to start a school. And essentially I've been collaborating with a bunch of different people on how we could potentially start a school that is not government funded. And so even like thinking about like a Kickstarter program or a GoFundMe, but not the GoFundMe company, because I've heard that they're a terrible company, but just from like not actually giving people the money once they've raised it and stuff. But essentially there are different crowdfunding sites too that might be able to help you. And that's something I know that I've been starting to look into, because I think that's a way that we can think outside the box from traditional investors as well. Is that we can think outside the box to get some different things started too. Like maybe there's somebody that you could collaborate with that will help you get that up and going instead of a traditional bank. Especially right now with there's so many different opportunities and people thinking outside the box and people willing to not go that traditional route all the time, because essentially people are waking up to there being alternative ways of raising funds to start what they want to start. And the bank is one way, but there are also other ways that if you think
Amanda,
outside.
Lillian is talking to you. She's asking, what is this for? It's a talk show. Can you explain to her? She's saying hi and she's asking a question. Can you see her?
I just see the hi. I don't see the question.
Yeah, she's saying hi. What is this for, please?
The topic?
I think she's asking for the whole thing.
Why don't you retell the topic then?
No, you go ahead. I think she's asking this is a talk show, Lillian. We talk about, especially in Nkosi Talk Shows community, we talk about all different subjects from all walks of life. So if you are struggling with something, or you can just send a message to us private and give us a topic. So we talk about everything every day, Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. time. So Stuart as well, just message me private. There are a few people, like what Amanda has just mentioned. There are a few people that I know that basically I can connect with, and then you can only ask. If you don't ask, you're never gonna know. Just message them and find out. If you message me private on LinkedIn, then I'll be able to. Nomsa Clara, my name is there on LinkedIn, so we must be friends. So just message me private. Over to you, Grant, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to say this very quickly. Yeah, keep going, because there was a singer years ago. There was a singer called Neil Sedaka. He was in America, and he was a childhood sort of a child genius sort of thing. You know, people well, not a genius, but he's very, very popular. He's a pretty boy, very, very popular, and he was great in America. Long story short, his mother and stepfather managed him and ripped him off. Not only that, he was very, very famous as a teenager, and then once he became a little bit older and other bands came in, he was dropped. His wife said, Neil Sedaka, not a macho man by any stretch of the imagination, she said, Neil Sedaka is the strongest man I've ever met in my life. From having all that fame and fortune when he was very young, he then left America, came to Britain, became a session musician supporting other unknown acts, going on working man's clubs and having beer bottles thrown at him in the roughest parts in town, and built his career back up from scratch. Can you imagine having everything, losing it all, being ripped off by your own family, going to a different country and starting from ground zero and working your way up and becoming successful and making other people successful on the way because he spotted other talent and encouraged other people to do and become talented, who become world famous people also. That is the abridged version of the story of Neil Sedaka. I think is amazing. People don't see that. And the funniest part was, one day he was walking down the street some years ago, and a woman said to him, "Excuse me, didn't you used to be Neil Sedaka?" And he looked around and he said, "Well, apparently I believe I still am." So I wanted to leave that story with you before I have to depart. But yeah, keep going. And he could only do that because he was following his passion. How passionate was he? When he was very young, he speaks about visualization. He used to have a record of somebody else's record long before he had one, and he would scratch out the name and write Neil Sedaka on it. And he said, "How's that for visualization?" He was implanting it in his brain that he had a record long before he did. He's on his passion, he's working from passion, and he's working on his purpose. And that's what I would encourage everyone to do. Thank you.
Oh yeah, Stuart, you
Over
should
to you.
connect with Grant as well, because Grant is good at motivating people. So I think you guys should connect. Are you on LinkedIn, Grant?
I certainly am. Yes, Grant Morrell on LinkedIn. You can find me. Or if you can't find me, just go to Nomsa and she'll put you in touch.
Okay, yeah, I'll connect you with
You're
him as
welcome.
well. Yeah, you're good at motivating people as well. You've got to go for your appointment, haven't you?
I have
Okay,
to go.
thank-
I have to go.
thank
To touch on what Grant was saying, successful people do things that other people don't want to do, and they do it consistently. And essentially that consistency is what helps you grow. So we know that the talk show has been going on for almost 2 years, right? In probably March, I think that's when I started anyways. And essentially, like, in order to get to do what you want to do and to be successful at it, you have to continue to persist at doing it, and also do things that regular people aren't willing to do. Like, for example, to be on the talk show, I get up at 5 a.m. because we start at 6 a.m. here, and I've been doing it almost consistently for 2 years, because I believe in what you're doing and in empowering people through their creative gifts. And so I don't know that many people that will get up at 5 a.m. to be on a talk show with people across the world. But essentially, in order to grow and in order to achieve what you want to achieve, you have to be willing to make sacrifices in other areas too. And so I think that's something that sometimes we don't think about either. And I know there's been times where I've been working on a project and I've been asked to like come to some event or something, like come over to some party, and I've been like, no, I have to finish my project. So I'll like not go to that social thing because I'm like, my passion project or writing my book or illustrating my book is more important to me than going to watch a football game with a bunch of people on the TV. If it was like a live game, that would be a different thing. But to watch it just on the TV, I'm like, no, I can have that in the background and still work on my project if I stay home, right? So I think there's a lot of different things that you need to think about. If there's something that you really want, then there's maybe some like social events or getting up earlier that you're going to need to do to give yourself some time blocking time to actually do that. So in order to start following your passion, especially if you have a full-time job like me, you have to time block things. And so it just worked out perfectly that I'm able to come on the talk show before work when it's not summertime and I am teaching, but also I've now time blocked time in the mornings before I go to work on my projects too. So every single day of the week, I get up early so that I have an hour before I go to work on my projects. And then I work after I put my daughter to bed for 2 to 3 hours on my projects as well. So essentially I'm getting 3 hours out of the day to focus on my projects, and then I still work full time, and I have a daughter, and I'm a single mom. So essentially you have to be willing to sacrifice some other time in order to work on those projects. But essentially, like, those projects uplift me, and being on the talk show uplifts me and just makes me feel like I can achieve everything that I've set my mind to. And so essentially, so much of our success too is our mindset. And when we feel like what we're doing is making a difference and empowering our lives and empowering others, then we're more willing to get up early and get up and do it. And we're more willing to keep working on those things late into the night, because you're so passionate about it that you're like, I just want to spend a little bit more time typing, or I just want to spend a little bit more time working on this. And essentially, when you feel uplifted, and you're more willing to work on it and to keep persisting in doing it.
Actually agree with you, Amanda. We when we started Nkosi Talk Shows, it's been a roller coaster ride. Sometimes if you look at the other videos, we couldn't even have like one view. And I think we had about 40 speakers, and some speakers were like, stick it, we want your talk show has not got basically audience, and it's not big, it's not growing. And the good thing I like about that is when people were basically letting me down, bigger people on LinkedIn were like, I want to connect with you, I want to collaborate with you. And that made me realize, actually, these people know the story of starting your own business. They know when you start something, you don't judge anyone. And I ended up in the big magazine. The speakers were leaving, but the big people were like, Nomsa, we just like your spirit, just like connecting with me. And last year I was like, we were moving house, and when we were moving a house, the last minute, we got let down. The last minute, we had to take everything in the storage for the other people to take the house, and so that we can find our own home. And we had to move in with my father-in-law. I remember when everything went to the storage, I get home and the laptop, I'm like, this laptop is not working. I packed the laptop that is working, is going to the storage. And when you pack things, go to the storage, you can't say, hang on a minute, I want to come back for my stuff. No. So I was like, it's gone. How am I going to broadcast the talk show? And I was like, okay, I've got my phone. And at the same time, I was in my final year for my degree. I was writing exams. And exams, it means you have to do the research. You have to do so many things, designing the projects and everything. And I was like, how am I going to do this? And then I had to think fast, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the office in the morning and work until 12. And then I'm going to come home and broadcast on my phone, because I've realized that all YouTubers are recommending the phone and not the camera. I've got a good camera, and they were like recommending the phone. I was like, I broadcasted on my phone for 6 months while we were busy looking for the house. And it was a big life changing for me with the internet. When you move into someone's house and you tell them that I need internet, strong internet, even if you want to pay for it, they have the right to say no. And my father-in-law was like, no, because he thought about when she leaves, I'm gonna have to pay for it. I was like, no, I'm paying for it. So I had to contact my mobile provider to give me the strong internet. So I had to use my phone and put a background so people don't see. And it worked until we found a house. We've only been here a month ago until we found a proper house that we needed. But it has been a long journey. It didn't give me an excuse to say, I can't do this, I cannot broadcast. I had to come in, I had to go and see my clients, I had to work in the office. You can't broadcast because there's everybody running around. It's like my office is like there's loads of offices around and there's people making noise. So you can't, there's no way that you can broadcast there. The only way that I broadcast is at home. and I go to work 5 minutes and then I come home and broadcast and then pick my daughter up from school. So that it was the only way. But before, the house was big enough that we can disappear. I basically, the garage, you could change it to the studio and everything, but I didn't. I just had my own thing where I just broadcast. I have my big light and everything. But when life changes, life changes. You can't basically make an excuse. So all I'm saying this, if anyone is watching, is you can't make an excuse and say, I'm this because of this. And no, it doesn't mean that it's a no. It means you are at the wrong place and that person doesn't see what God can see, because only God can actually, if God is going to promote you, you're going to have to struggle. You're going to have to struggle with your talent in order for you to succeed. All these people that you see, if they say there are no struggles that are successful, they'll be lying. There are struggles each and every day. Some people have lost everything. For me, basically, I was homeless with the money. That's when it made me realize that money is not everything. So I was like, so money cannot buy the things that I want to do. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes it can't. And I could have easily rushed and say, I'm going to take the house, I'm going to take anything. But I was like, I just need to wait and do things properly. So I had to wait and keep looking for the house that I wanted until I found that house. And also, you know, when you are building your talent, you're working on your talent, cut the noise. The reason why I'm saying cut the noise, there are some people who know who basically who cannot hold to tell you what they think about you, and everything will be the bad things that they think you're not good enough, they think it's the wrong decisions. So try to cut the noise. This is what I do when I'm making a decision. If I explain to you one day I'm going to do a talk show and go where I come from a village in Africa where we have a village, and then we have in the city we have a house, big house. But for me, basically, I loved the village because in the village, I can go and be quiet. I can go fishing. I can walk with barefoot. I can climb the trees, and that's the place where I loved. In town, I just have to dress up like everybody else. I just have to walk like everybody else. But in the village, I have to walk my talk and talk my talk. I can just be Nomsa that I want. So one day I'm going to do the talk show just to show people the journey where I come from and to be where I am today. So if anyone like Stuart, and don't give up. Like Amanda was saying that people started the basement, don't give up. These are real stories. I've experienced it myself, and my story is real. Amanda, you know, you guys you used to basically comfort me each and every day. How far with the house, Nomsa? I'm still looking. And you give me some words of encouragement until I said to you guys, I got the house. And also when I got the house, the guy decided to disappear, that one that was dealing with everything. I will make phone calls to their office. He wouldn't answer the phone. And when he came back, I was like, this is just something else. When he came back, he was like, just like that, you're moving in on this day, and this is the process. It was so quick, but things takes time. So anyone that is basically looking to start something, or like a steward situation, just don't give up. The strength, as long as you've got food, water, you can still go on. Over to you, Amanda.
I really like how you were talking about all of the struggles that you've gone through to get to the point that you are at, because essentially, when I look back on what I've been through too, I think about, wow, I've been through a lot to be able to get to the point that I'm at, and that also will help me continue to move forward in the growth of my business and to empower others through their creativity, which is one of my goals. But essentially, like you, I went through a really rough toxic marriage and then divorce, and even 11 years or 9 years later, I still have to deal with very very like struggling things for myself with my daughter, with my ex. And but I look at it, and when even in my darkest times, I still was able to like achieve certain goals that I had set for myself. They just took longer than I had initially planned. So initially I went into my master's degree, and I was like just getting married, and I had a toddler, and then I got divorced when my daughter was 2, and I was still trying to finish my master's degree, and essentially it took me 4.5 years instead of 2 to finish. But I was like living in my aunt and uncle's basement, finishing my master's and working full time. And essentially, when I look back and I'm like, wow, if I can do that, if I can finish a master's, go through a toxic divorce, and raise a toddler on my own, living in my aunt and uncle's basement while my house was being built, like I can achieve anything. And essentially, I think that's something that you need to like, people need to sometimes pat themselves on the back for everything that they've been through and all the struggles that they've been through, because those struggles, if they then have been through them, then they're able to go out and help other people. So I can't even tell you how many people I've helped who have gone through divorce or gone through a separation, and just because of what I went through, I've been able to help so many more people. And that's one of my goals too, is to start empowering people after their separations and divorces, or while they go through their separation and divorces. I'm actually going to build a course to start in January on doing that, to really get people to shift their mindset on the end of a relationship, because I think that what so much of what we go through is our mindset as well. And if we constantly are feeling down about ourselves because of things that we're going through, then we're going to keep seeing those things that are kind of crappy. But if we're like, oh, we can shift our mindset to the positive, and to just keep believing in ourselves, so much of how we experience life is our mindset on that. And that's something that I tell my daughter all the time, even when we go hiking or something. Sometimes she's grumpy, and we're hiking and she's like, and I'm like, or you could be like, we live in one of the most beautiful places in the world, and like people come from all over the world to the Banff area to go hiking, and they like spend thousands and thousands of dollars to come here, and we literally drive 45 minutes to an hour to be in one of the most beautiful places in the world that people come from all over the world to come and see. And if you shift your mindset to that, no matter how you're feeling in that day, you can be like, oh yeah, I am pretty lucky that I can drive 45 minutes and be in one of the most beautiful places in the world. And that just like instantly like sometimes changes her mindset. And she's like, whoa, look at this, look at this. And it's funny to see how kids can just like flip like a switch like that. Because we were in Invermere, and then we came back and we saw there was a hike called the Paint Pots, and essentially is this First Nations sacred place where they would go and they would get paint for their it's like natural paint, but for their teepees and different hieroglyphics and stuff. And when we stopped, she was like, I don't want to do this hike. And then as we started, she was like, look at this, look at this. It was so amazing. And it was because I had that talk with her, like, look at, like, there have been people coming here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years because it's like this sacred space. But unless you look at it like that, or if you just look at it as like, oh, my mom's dragging me on another hike. But when I explained to her, like, look at all of the research behind this place, and we're like so lucky that we get to come here, then her mindset just completely changed. And I think that's something that we need to be able to shift to if we want to empower our lives and in our creativity as well. Our creativity sometimes is just shifting our mindset to, I am creative, and I'm working on my creativity, and my success is inevitable, and I am infinitely creative. And those are things that the affirmations that I constantly tell myself is I am infinitely creative, my success is inevitable, I am persistent, like all of those things when my mindset gets into a little bit of a funk as well. So I think sometimes we really need to focus on mindset. What do you think, Nomza? You're on mute.
You are right, Amanda. Gratitude is everything. Yeah, you know, I remember when there was so much noise, everyone telling me what I should do with regarding the house. And I remember looking at Henley and saying, you know what, I'm very lucky that I live here. This is a beautiful place as well, like you say. And that kept me going, and knowing that God was holding my hand. And even though people were telling me what I should do, what I shouldn't, I knew that I've been in this place for a very long time and I love living here. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna, there was no, when I'm saying there was no houses, there was nothing on the market because of lockdown, and nothing, no one was moving home. So I was like, the house will come up, so we just have to wait. And also what you say, like what I tell my children, they're dead. The other day was like, why is there not everywhere I turn, I see a knot? What is that for? And I was like, it's to remind the kids what they need to do, what they shouldn't do. Basically, what I do is I write notes, like inspiring notes, and I stick them for the children so that whenever they go, because children, they're very, very good, they're very smart. When they read something, if it makes sense to them, they hold on to it. So I put it there, and like my daughter, she was like, she had this thing where she copies everyone. She's like, I don't like my teacher, I don't like this. And I was like, listen, you're very lucky, you get to do the things that you do. So what you need to do is you need to focus on your studies. No, I don't like. If you say you don't like me, tell me a reason why you don't like me. God created us to be the same. And if you don't like somebody, just because somebody doesn't like them, that means it's going to affect your subject. And focus. If the teacher is annoying, just have time to have a chat, to get to know them. Maybe that annoying will go away. So the attitude, the more I speak to her, the attitude changes. And when she decided one day, she got good marks, and she goes, I'm loving this, mommy. Getting A++ is actually exciting. So I'm just going to take your ideas and just keep. And also, you have to believe in yourself and believe in the things that you do as a person. I tell my children as well, I tell them that you might have 5 friends. And those friends, they might love you so much, but in 5 years' time, you might not be friends. So you have to understand, or you might still be friends, but you have to understand that your dreams are different. The path that you're gonna walk is gonna be different than your family, than your friends. So walk your own path, even if it gets tough. Don't get jealous of anybody else. It's their glory. Celebrate them. And if anyone is watching right now, like Amanda was saying, that she always reminds her daughter how lucky she is. If you are still breathing, that means there's still hope. If you are still breathing, basically, and things are not working well, you have water, you have food, you can go to the shop, or you buy something for $1 food to eat, or $2 or $5. Basically, I could just say, just keep going. Because God has a way of changing life within a second. I've gone through some stuff. And because I'm a person that I'm a great believer in struggle and in joy, I believe that before joy comes, there's got to be struggle. And then I got to learn to climb the mountain, and I got to receive my joy behind the veil on that mountain, because I don't know, if I give up now, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Maybe my glory is tomorrow. So all I'm saying is just do you, have the right people on your side. Ngozi Talk Shows has beautiful. Thank you so much, Stuart. We've got to go as well. We're going now as well. You went at the right time. We're gonna say goodbye now. Ngozi Talk Show have good speakers, good coaches. Get in touch with Ngozi Talk Shows, and Stuart, send me a message, and also connect with Grant Morel. If you can't connect with them, send me a message. I'll connect you with Grant. Let's just walk the talk and take action. And also, Amanda, any words of encouragement before we leave?
Yeah, I love this topic today because like I said before, we are all infinitely creative in our own unique ways, and following, if you step into your power and start following your passion, you're going to be amazed at how so many things in your life just begin to shift, and help uplift your life, and make your life so much more positive and so much more fulfilling. And so I encourage everyone who has a creative idea in their mind to start today, and it'll make the world a little bit of a better place, just because your life will be a little bit better. But also keep persisting no matter what. Don't give up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amanda. As I don't give up as well, and know that if anyone says your dreams are too big or too small and say you're not enough, just for me, basically all I tell myself is that if you didn't make me, you cannot define me. No one can define your dreams. No one can define your success, your talent. Only you know what you can tolerate and how far you can go with your strength. And if you allow yourself, you can go further in life. So keep going. We are here at Nkosi Talk Shows Monday to Friday UK time. Please get in touch with our coaches. You can get in touch with me. I'll connect you with whoever coach you want to connect with, or you can get in touch through the Facebook page or LinkedIn, anywhere. And live with grace, everyone, and God bless. Bye, Stuart.